Welcome to this explainer. I'm super excited to guide you through a truly fascinating case study today. It's about a multi-million-dollar business that's literally hiding in plain sight. You know, I walk past ordinary businesses every single day, and I usually don't give them a second thought. But today, we're going to look closer together. We're going to uncover a hidden layer of value that most people, myself included until recently, completely miss. By the end of this, I promise I'll have you wondering what unused value is hiding around you right now.
Okay, let's dive right in by looking at something completely invisible. Seriously, what if millions of dollars are hiding in something you already own? When I think of valuable business assets, my mind instantly jumps to tangible things, right? Land, massive commercial buildings, heavy machinery. I might even think of raw electricity itself, but we're not talking about any of those things today. We're talking about wasted, unused capacity. And the crazy part? Companies are paying thousands of dollars every single month just to maintain this capacity, even when it's just sitting there doing absolutely nothing.
Which brings us to Section 1, the invisible million-dollar asset. So, our journey starts with Ethan Carter. He's a 28-year-old who made just a staggering observation at his dad's metal fabrication shop. Now, Ethan wasn't some billionaire or a famous Silicon Valley software engineer. He was just a regular guy who'd spent most of his career around small manufacturing businesses. But one winter morning, while he was just hanging around the shop, it hit him. Ethan realized his dad's business had the electrical capacity to run way more equipment than it actually used. This is what we call unused capacity. Basically, it's the expensive infrastructure, the wiring, the electrical framework that a business pays to maintain, even when it sits totally idle for hours. And standing right there on the shop floor, it sparked this wild thought in his mind. He thought, what if this expensive, unused capacity could actually be rented out instead of just going to waste?
Let's move on to Section 2, Airbnb for infrastructure.
Ethan decided to run with this wild thought, and he conceptualized the platform called ShadowGrid. Now, the genius here is that they wouldn't sell electricity, they wouldn't build power plants, and they certainly wouldn't try to replace massive utility companies. Instead, it would just connect businesses so they could swap their unused capacity. Think about the marketplace dynamics here. It's brilliant. Say a bakery has a massive spike in capacity needs right before sunrise, but a machine shop, their peak is in the middle of the afternoon. Meanwhile, a grocery store needs all that extra support later in the evening. One company's unused capacity perfectly solves another company's temporary problem. The resources are literally just sitting there waiting to be swapped.
But, you know, an idea on paper is very different from reality. When Ethan pitched this whole marketplace concept to his college friend Maya Brooks, who, by the way, was a super talented software engineer who understood marketplaces inside and out, she hit him with a massive reality check. And she didn't laugh because the idea was stupid. She laughed because it sounded, well, impossible. She asked him flat out, what happens if your software makes a mistake and someone's factory shuts down? Ethan was completely stumped. And guys, this is a monumental lesson for anyone building a business. A high cost of failure will absolutely scare away any B2B customer. I mean, no business owner wants to rent their vital infrastructure to a total stranger.
They quickly realized that businesses care deeply about when they consume electricity, because a sudden spike in demand gets incredibly expensive. So instead of pitching this complex, high-risk marketplace right out of the gate, they heavily scaled back their grand vision. To get those first 5 beta testers on board, they offered one beautifully simple, low-risk promise. We can help you waste less money. It was safe, it was super easy to understand, and it successfully got their foot in the door.
But then we hit Section 3, the costly catastrophe.
For the first few weeks, ShadowGrid seemed like a massive success. The software was safely delaying certain equipment to reduce those unnecessary energy peaks. But then, on one quiet Friday afternoon, the system made a fatally wrong prediction. It thought a critical machine could be delayed, but it couldn't. The entire factory experienced a total shutdown. Production completely halted, workers were just left standing around, and the owner lost thousands of dollars in an instant. Ethan got this devastating phone call that nearly destroyed the company right then and there. The owner said, "I trusted you with my business, and you treated it like an experiment." Ethan was left sitting alone in his apartment, wondering if this whole idea was just completely wrong. I can only imagine how crushing that must have felt.
Which leads us to Section 4, the profitable pivot.
Because instead of giving up, Ethan did something genuinely extraordinary. He put his ego aside and started relentlessly interviewing actual business owners, restaurant owners, warehouse managers, supermarket operators. And he discovered something huge. Nobody cared about artificial intelligence or high-tech energy trading. Nope. They all echoed the exact same pain point, saying, "We're paying for infrastructure we barely use." This right here was ShadowGrid's breakthrough. They weren't a tech company pushing complex AI anymore. They were a company whose entire purpose was turning idle infrastructure into an income-producing asset.
This realization required a profound psychological shift. ShadowGrid transitioned from a really complicated energy management pitch, where they were essentially asking businesses to hand over control, to a remarkably simple proposition. The new pitch? Helping businesses make money from infrastructure they were already paying for. The business owners got to decide what they shared, for how long, and under exactly what conditions. The owners stayed in total control, getting paid for something they already owned. It's a total game changer.
After proving this new model by actually monetizing a warehouse's backup battery, they unlocked this incredibly powerful growth loop. It's like a beautiful domino effect. More buildings join the platform, which provides more data to improve their predictions, which creates more reliable savings, which ultimately attracts even more customers. The whole network just began compounding and expanding rapidly.
This brings us to Section 5, the trust moat. So, with this incredible growth loop in full motion, Ethan needed capital. He went and met with this veteran venture capitalist in Chicago. After listening to the pitch, the investor was pretty skeptical, claiming unused capacity just wasn't a real market. But Ethan didn't back down. He pulled out a list of thousands of existing buildings, hotels, factories, data centers, and pointed out a very simple reality. Every single one of those buildings has infrastructure that sits completely unused for some portion of the day. They didn't have to spend billions building new infrastructure, guys. It was already built.
When the investor inevitably asked why someone couldn't just come along and copy them, Ethan explained their ultimate defense, a trust moat. Managing someone's heavy infrastructure safely is a massive competitive advantage. It's built layer by layer through reliable software, certified electricians, incredibly strict safety rules, and an unblemished track record. You simply cannot hack trust. It takes time and perfection to build.
And because of this impenetrable trust moat, their customers literally became their sales force. A warehouse manager would tell another manager, a factory would recommend them to the place next door. ShadowGrid expanded across multiple states without spending a fortune on ads. And they began to tap into all different forms of wasted capacity. We're talking battery storage, massive refrigeration units, backup generators, EV charging infrastructure, and even unused warehouse space. They were monetizing the invisible everywhere they looked. Ethan's whole journey proves that the absolute biggest danger for a startup isn't the competition. It's building something people don't actually want. ShadowGrid succeeded because they forced their customers to completely rethink their fixed costs. Just think about it. What if an unused asset wasn't a cost, but inventory? What if that heavy machine that sits idle for 18 hours a day, or that half-empty parking facility, is actually inventory that you can sell?
I want to leave you with this final thought for your own life and business. When I look around in my own environment now, I honestly can't help but see things entirely differently. So I want you to ask yourself, what valuable capacity is sitting completely unused around me right now, and who is going to notice it first? The next big opportunity might not require inventing something completely new. It might literally be hiding in plain sight, right in front of you, just waiting for you to unlock it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you next time.